It is horrific, Stu. And I just hate to think, knowing what we know about what some of these organizations like Planned Parenthood are doing with these organs, I don't even want to, it's too horrific for me to imagine what's going to start happening to these children that are killed at this age and who they're going to go to, who
Who's
these organs are going
responsible
to
for
go
this
to.
decision to allow this to happen?
This would be Peter Malinauskas in South Australia, the Premier, the same one who recently declared a climate emergency, Stu.
Oh, yes. Speaking of acts of God and giving us children, it seems that weather, although be it normally is described as an act of God, specifically for insurance companies, the big criminals and fraudsters that they are, it's not so much an act of God in Australia right now. It seems that you're talking about weather machines and that climate change is being intentionally inflicted upon the people of Australia.
Yes, so we've just been told that our intelligence chief, Andrew Shearer, is going to be investigating climate change security risks and the implications for national security of climate change. I want people to really consider what that means. We've also been told that, La Nina is going to continue for years to come. We're going to have wet weather, perpetual conditions, they've told us, perpetual conditions for years to come. Now, what does this the implications of national security? What do you need your chief of national security or chief of intelligence looking at the national security of the weather? Well, this is what this means, Stu. It means the implementation of a digital ID. It means a social credit score that's tied to that digital ID. It means how many times you drove your car this month, because this all impacts the climate, right? It means how many times you bought meat to feed your child this month. And you ate meat too many times this month, or your child drank milk too many times this month. You've been a bad boy. You don't get your UBI after we've destroyed the economy, or you don't get to access your bank account. It is going to lead to a far worse totalitarianism than we saw during the times of COVID. That was child's play. How long before you were labeled? Because remember, the chief of intelligence is involved here. How long before you were labeled a terrorist for drinking too much water or eating certain foods? We already know there was 9,000 tons will be produced of insects for human and pet consumption by a Canadian company per annum. This is going to become the norm. So you didn't eat our alternative proteins, you ate something else. You're now a terrorist as per our National Security Agency.
Well, you have
This,
all of these brand new camps that have been built in Australia. And so obviously the intent is to then label you a bad boy, give you a social credit score that's not acceptable for you to be among other human beings. You didn't eat enough cockroaches and ants this week. You're going to the gulag.
as ridiculous as it sounds, this is exactly where we're heading. The implementation of climate change will be, or the climate change measures will be enforced through intelligence. We already have directors in companies, of companies in Australia, Stu, that require a digital ID to continue working. We also have facial recognition, which is tracking your spending habits and behaviors. That's already been happening in places like Bunnings and Kmart, which is the equivalent of, I suppose, your Home Depot or Walmart, without people knowing. We just found out that they've already been doing this to us. So all of this surveillance that, we're told is people have just accepted. COVID helped us accept this surveillance, is moving towards something that really the measures that we saw during COVID were nothing compared to what will happen here. You will not be able to live freely if we allow this to go through. And how does this relate to the United States? I've been telling everyone from the beginning, and you and I have spoken about this multiple times, Stu, Australia's the testing ground. We don't have the same protections in our constitution as you do from these tyrants. America must continue to fight for the rights of its constitution. Your constitution is under attack. These are the things that have protected you. Organizations such as the Tavistock Institute, they know what tactics to use in which places. They're not going to use the same tactic everywhere, but the goal is the same. It is a global totalitarian takeover. So don't think that America is not under attack. For people that think that perhaps America will escape what Australia is going through, no, it'll just be a different attack.